What's up, Big Bear Nation? Welcome back to the homestead. So I have a question for you. Do you have a skill on your homestead or not on your homestead that you're fairly certain that you're good at, that you're confident that given the right tools, the right setting, that you'll be able to accomplish it? Well, I have a few, but one right away that comes to mind is butchering chickens, butchering turkeys. We've been doing this for quite a while now, that I feel fairly certain that pretty much any kind of bird, give it to me, it's already dead, and I can eviscerate it and have it ready to go. That was until this week. So a friend of ours who runs a country store, he gets a lot of hunters that blow through and come through and get gas, get something to eat. So he called us and he said, hey, I've got these two guys that just came in from a conservation hunt for geese. And they have quite a few in the back of their truck and they don't feel like cleaning them. So would you be interested? Well, that's free meat to us. So we're like, yeah, give us 10 minutes, we'll be down there. So we went down there in our car, not thinking about the fact that we were getting ready to throw a bunch of dead birds in the back. So that was fun. But we got there, loaded them up, brought them back to the house. Well, Carol and I were planning on going and door dashing. So Jason and Ladessa said, we got this. We'll take care of it. We'll get them all plucked, eviscerated, get them ready to go. So I thought nothing more of it. Well, a few hours later, I got a call from Jason and he was like, I'm spent. I can't figure this out. And I said, well, what's going on? Well, first of all, it was raining and nasty outside. So being able to set up our full plucking situation with the barrel and all that, it was not going to work. So they had put together in our shop, we have a wood burning stove. So they had started to boil the water there and they were gonna set up the plucker and get everything done there, no problem. Well, one, we could never get the water up to temperature. When we got it to 140-ish, which is what you do for chickens, that obviously was not enough. Well then, our pot wasn't big enough. I don't think we were prepared for how big these birds actually were. They're bigger than the turkeys. And so we had to drop back and punt, as Jason says. And I said, well, you know what? We're about done. We'll head back towards the house. 4 sets of hands is better than 2. So, and keep in mind, Jason had just come from being in the ER a couple of days prior. So his energy level was still really low. His pain level was still really high. So I said, don't worry about it, home team, we're coming. So when I got home, I wasn't sure what to expect. It was about an hour drive home. So that we had made the decision that we were just gonna go ahead, instead of trying to pluck these birds, we were gonna try and just skin them. So on the way home, Carol was looking up YouTube videos to refresh her memory because she's done it before. So she's like, let me look at it and see if I can remember what to do. Okay, fine. So we get to the house and poor Ladessa is still working on the bird that she had started working on when she called us. So I was like, well, I guess it is gonna take all of us. So I went and she had finished one bird, but she had plucked it, hand plucked it. So it had the full skin and everything on it. Well, I put that bird in the cooler, and that was one thing. We had stopped on the way home and gotten ice because we knew we were gonna need that regardless. So then we get to the house, I start looking at these birds, and I took the first bird that she had plucked and I put it in the cooler, and I was like, that's a big bird. And we had taken the neck off, I had eviscerated it. It didn't have the feet on anymore, it was just the legs, you know, basically like a turkey. So I put it in the cooler. Well, then I started you know, the girls started bringing them to me dressed out and skinned, and I got to about the 4th bird, and I was realizing, one, that we're running out of time before these birds, the meat starts to spoil. We don't want that. And two, I was running out of cooler space. So I looked at Jason, I said, again, I think we need to back up and punt, because while it would be great to have the organs and stuff of these birds, we're not gonna have the room for 11 geese. Like, I'm on 4 and the cooler's full. And so we decided to go ahead and I looked up again, because one of the videos Carol had looked at was showing where they just like cut down through the breast, cut the breasts out, cut the legs out, and that was it, and left the rest of the carcass to just go to the bone pile. So I looked at Jason and I said, that's just what we're gonna have to do, because I'm looking at this one carcass that we had that was full, and there's really not much on it besides the breasts and the legs. So then the process started to speed up a little bit. We got all of the breasts cut up, we got all the legs cut up, we took all of the rest of the bird parts, put them in the back of the canine, and took them back to the bone pile. So now we have 22 goose breasts and 22 leg quarters of goose. So the first thing we're going to try is to cook them what they call a reverse sear, which is you go ahead and bake it first, and then at the end you pull it out and sear it up so that it has that nice crispy edge to it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a little nervous because, you know, whenever you're dealing with a wild animal, especially a goose, you know, you think about it, Canadian goose, they migrate back and forth, so they do an awful lot of flying. So I'm imagining when those wings are moving, you know, those breast muscles are moving too. So some of these birds could be 10, 12, 15 years old, or they could be a year old. So I don't know how tough they're going to be. I don't know how gamey they're going to be, but it's free meat. We'll try it, see how it goes, and hopefully the flavor will be good. Now, of course, I don't have any footage of that whole craziness that was going on. You know, we walked in and LaDessa was elbow deep in the goose, and you know, we very quickly got to going, because like I said, time was of the essence. I didn't want to lose any of the meat because we, you know, weren't getting it done fast enough. But I imagine you can kind of paint the picture in your mind. I walk in and we're butchering on my dining room table, which we've used before to process the pigs and stuff, like cut up the pieces, but she hadn't put down a tarp or anything like that. So Carol had to come in, get a tarp. We had feathers flying everywhere, because as she's pulling the feathers out to get to the skin to pull back the breast, there was like feathers flying everywhere. We had goose feet, goose wings all over the place. Thank God we have hard floors, solid floors, not carpet or anything, because we were able to get in there and like clean up all of the feathers, disinfect the floor, all that stuff. So I'm really thankful for that. So I guess the saying, a bird is a bird is a bird, is true. However, when it comes time to butcher them, sometimes that can be a little misleading. There were several things that we found different. One was the way that their gizzard was. The way we had to cut the gizzard was totally different. Obviously, plucking them, just the overall magnitude of how big they were. So if you have a skill and you think that you got it, make sure you double check yourself, because sometimes things can change and it can humble you really quick. And that's what we had today, was a slice of humble goose pie, because we learned that yes, we do know what we're doing. We have the general principles of things, but sometimes you got to change things around a little bit to make sure that you reach that end goal. Thank you for stopping by the Big Bear Homestead. God bless. and have a nice day.